Hey, shalom everyone, this is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and welcome to the Daily Drash. Today's Daily Drash is taken from Genesis chapter 46, and I'm going to start with verse 1, and I'm going to be reading from the Stones edition of the Chumash. It says, "So Israel set out with all that he had and came to Beersheba, where he slaughtered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to Israel in a night vision, and he said, 'Jacob, Jacob.' He said, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'I am the God, God of your father. Have no fear of descending to Egypt, for I shall establish you a great nation there. I shall descend with you to Egypt, and I shall also surely bring you up, and Joseph shall place his hand on your eyes.'" Two phrases jumped out at me as I read this. Have no fear of descending to Egypt. Descending to Egypt. Going down into Egypt. That struck me. And then in verse 4 God says, "I shall descend with you to Egypt." Those are very comforting words, because we know it was in Egypt where God promised to establish Israel as a nation. And descending, it's like when you read in the scriptures, you're always going up to Jerusalem, going up to Jerusalem. But when you're ever going to Egypt, you're always going down to Egypt. So going up to Jerusalem is spiritual ascension, going up, being on the mountaintop, being closer to God, being in the sunlight, being in a good place. But when you descend somewhere, you descend down into Egypt, it has that connotation of descending into darkness, of descending into a place that is oppressive, and descending into a place that is oppressive and dark. Have no fear of descending to Egypt. And then he says, "I shall descend with you to Egypt." So Israel and his children are about to descend into the darkest place of their history, probably next to the Holocaust itself. And they were going to become a prosperous nation, but in the end, they were going to be oppressed and enslaved and harshly treated. And so when I was reading this, I thought of the dark, black, loomy soil. That's dark, that's cold, that's moist, that causes one to shiver, but yet has abundant nutrients, has what a seed needs. And I seen Israel as a seed being planted, descending into the ground, descending into to the dark depths of the earth, being encased, being enclosed, being shut up. But God says, "I shall descend with you to Egypt." You know, it's always darkest before the dawn. And the storm always rages worse before it gets better. And this is what I seen in this passage. And it's like with our life. You know, sometimes we go through trials, tribulations, dark, oppressive, depressing times that just seem void of the presence of God, that just seems like it's never going to get better. But this is the place where we're going to grow. This is the place where God is going to give us the fortitude and the nutrients that we need to grow and emerge from the moist, dark, loomy soil to come into the sunlight, fully formed into the plant that he wants. So it says, "Have no fear of descending to Egypt." Don't be afraid when I shove you deep into the ground like a seed, because he says, "I shall descend with you to Egypt." God's with us, even when we don't see him, hear him, or feel him. He is there. He descended with Israel to Egypt. It's as if he descended into the soil with us to nurture that seed, to nurture the seed that we are, to make sure that we have everything that we need. So at the right moment, when that time of trial and tribulation and that time of germination is over, we will sprout forth into life and we'll burst through the soil. Um, as the plant that he wants. One thing that fascinates me so much is whenever I'm going through a parking lot or through a place that has been concreted or has asphalt, and you see a blade of grass coming up through the crack in the concrete. I mean, I could just take that piece of grass and just yank it out of the ground and rip it to shreds, no problem. But just even though it's easy to pluck up and to tear up, think how tough that blade of grass was. The power that was in that blade of grass, that was contained within that seed that formed that blade of grass, in order to push through the soil, not only push through the soil, but push through the concrete and the asphalt in order to reach the sunlight. So no matter how dark or oppressive or how deep you are placed in the soil, you will eventually emerge. You will eventually break through the soil. You will eventually ascend out of Egypt and come into the sunlight. And God is with you. So if you're going through a dark place in your life, have no fear, have no worry. You're germinating right now. God is giving you the nutrients and everything that you need in order to grow and eventually become that great plant that He wants you to be, bursting through the soil and coming into the sunlight and giving praise and glory to Him. Hey, thanks for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Shalom and Shavuot Tov.
Abraham'sDescendants.com, getting back to the first century in a 21st century way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press the like button as well as the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and the notification bell that'll let you know every time I make a new video. And don't forget to share this with a friend. Also, visit our website at Abraham'sDescendants.com. Thanks. Shalom. Thanks for watching. Stay connected by subscribing to our other social media accounts and visiting our website at Abraham'sDescendants.com.